Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. It's your boy, the Chief. And before we get started, I want to talk to you about Streetside Brewery. Streetside is your neighborhood brewery located in the beating heart of Columbia, Tusculum. They're an FC Cincinnati pub partner and longtime supporter of the Cincy Postcast. If you've heard me on here before, you know that I absolutely love Streetside. I was going to Streetside long before they started sponsoring our dumb little show. Streetside is a local neighborhood brewery that brews some of the best damn beer in the city. No matter what you like to drink, Streetside has something on tap for you right now. Yes, right now as you're listening to this. Streetside also has a full calendar of events on their website, streetsidebrewery.com. Coming up in August, they've got the Summer Market on August 3rd from 1 to 4 p.m. And then, on August 22nd, it's Pickle Fest and the return of pickle beer. Now, personally, I don't like pickle beer. I don't drink pickle beer, but I'm told it's very good. If it's for you and you do like it, mark down August 22nd and be at Streetside Brewery to hoist your pint. Streetside Brewery. Beer so good, you'll want to buy the merch. Oh, and on today's Cincy Postcast, we've got a full show for you. We start out with some talk about the biggest news story in MLS that happened to overlap with FC Cincinnati, Lionel Messi, and the fallout from him skipping the All-Star game. What is it that makes people obsess over this guy in particular around the world and are willing to bend the rules for him? Then it's on to Inter Miami versus FC Cincinnati in the scintillating 0-0 draw from Saturday. What changed to let Miami hold FC's offense in check? How should we interpret yet another low output from the front line? And what does this mean for the state of the Shield race? In part 2, we answer some Patreon questions, put it all together, and that'll be your postcast. It's a party in the city where the heat is on. Bienvenidos a la postcast. Hit it, Schwei. Oh, and joining me to talk about all that and more, it is just Grayson. Grayson, Kevin has decided that the two of us can do the show on our own this evening. How are we feeling about that?
I am ready to do 2 to 3 hours on Rebel Moon Part 2 and our vision for the future of the Rebel Moon multimedia universe.
Yeah, it's surprising to me that there's not more out there in the Rebel Moon extended universe, but I feel like everyone who would be interested in doing that has now devoted their full time and attention to attacking the new Superman movie and the people that enjoy it online, which, you know what, fair play. Everyone in life has to have a purpose. Everyone in life has to be a fan of something. Good on you if you've decided that a failed film franchise is where you're going to spend your hours of, time on this earth defending.
Yeah, who amongst us hasn't had a swig of raw milk and then gone online and just, posted Henry Cavill fan fiction?
Hashtag not my Superman. This is not what I signed up for here. I do endlessly appreciate it's been out long enough. You're on your own if you haven't seen it at this point. I do appreciate that preemptively James Gunn gave the perfect response meme to that and to many such things on the internet in just the army of monkeys with electrodes in their brains posting stuff on Twitter that's negative. I think that GIF will outlive anything else anyone remembers about the latest Superman movie.
The thing that I like, far be it from me to tell people like what to like and what not to like, but the critique that I find the most baffling are the people who argue over like which Superman is stronger, as if that relates to anything. Right? Like, neither one of these Supermen got strong by like working out the most.
No.
It's just exactly how strong the writer decides to make them.
Right.
And that doesn't seem to have, like, to me, it doesn't seem to be very strongly correlated to like the quality of the movie or like have any relationship to it at all. But then again, like I grew up watching the Superman cartoon that was like the Batman Superman Adventures.
Right.
And it felt like in that Superman's strength was highly variable depending on what the plot needed at the moment.
Right. No, it's like the old joke about how fast does the Starship Enterprise or the Millennium Falcon move? It moves at the speed of plot. It moves exactly as fast as the plot requires it to be somewhere or for some story element to exist otherwise.
Right. Are we doing a conversation episode or are we doing like an action episode?
Right. We need to be there right now. It's going to get there at the exact same time the Klingons do every time. It is funny to me, though. I didn't plan for the conversation to go this way, but it is deeply funny to me that we talk about this because the story that dominated FC Cincinnati this week leading up to the match was the will they, won't they dance over MLS's treatment of Lionel Messi. In case you've been hiding under a rock since last week, Lionel Messi skipped the MLS All-Star game. And so as a result, per MLS rules, that means that any player that skips the All-Star game without prior approval from the league or some sort of a documented injury, by the rules of MLS, has to be suspended for one match immediately following the All-Star game. And it was released and it was told that Messi did not have an injury. He was fatigued, was what the official diagnosis was. But famously, being tired is not considered an injury in this league. And so as a result, we spent the better part of 24 to 48 hours after the All-Star game wondering whether or not MLS would enforce this rule, which it has done to a lot of players of similar stature to Lionel Messi. The one that always was being cited was Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who skipped the MLS All-Star game and then had to sit out in El Tráfico for LA Galaxy. So I bring this up, and I think there's an interesting parallel here that I didn't really anticipate us talking about, in that the dialogue around the new Superman movie with the Zack Snyder defenders and the people who are just, hey, I'm enjoying a movie here, I don't need to hear your weirdness, is very similar to the way I feel like the conversation went in the build-up to the announcement finally on Friday morning that Lionel Messi was going to be suspended per MLS rules. And the army of, I'll just say it, weird people that only follow the sport of soccer in so much as it is a conduit for them to watch Lionel Messi. And man, was that conversation every bit as weird online as the Snyder Bros taking on, people that just wanted to watch a fun, kind of hopeful, kind of goofy comic book movie. It's like, I want to enjoy my fun, kind of goofy soccer league. I don't need to be drawn into your weirdness over, we love Leo. And somebody even said in my replies, as long as Lionel Messi is happy, we're happy. It's like, what is this shit? I don't get it. What am I missing here?
I mean, we live in the Stan era, right? Like people glom onto, and this has always existed to a certain extent, but it feels like it's converged into kind of a universal thing where people, and I don't think it's unrelated to the popularity of streamers, where it's like people experience things through other people to a degree that we've never seen before. Yeah. Like you see it in politics for sure. Where it's like, I love my guy and who cares what happens like in my life? Like I'm just gonna do whatever my guy says, love whatever my guy loves.
Hate whoever my guy tells me to hate. And if somebody's mad at my guy, that person is also my enemy right here.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I see a lot of like I get a lot of like streamer stuff like sent to me on Twitter, probably because I follow a lot of soccer and there's a lot of soccer fans who like probably a lot of these like Messi stands are also like really into streamers, where it's just like a moment in a streamer's day that I find wholly unremarkable. But somebody will like share it and be like, "Oh, this guy didn't realize that this girl was trying to hit or something." And it's like, I'm like, I don't have any context for this.
Right.
Like, I don't know why I'm supposed to be interested in this in this tweet. My assumption is whatever is being shown to me has been fabricated,
Edited, manipulated,
yeah,
cut, and was like staged in the first place.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, I think people, not everybody like understands that like people who create content are trying to manipulate you, except for us.
Us. We are the only true. We are
We're
the only true
ones.
conduits.
We are actively trying to like reverse manipulate you.
Yeah.
We try to put out the worst thing, the most unlikable content that we can imagine, so that we can stop doing this at some point. But like with this Messi stuff, it's like I don't get it. I don't. What do you get? People are like, "Oh, Messi, he's won more than anything." Okay,
Right.
what does that do for you or me?
And I would understand.
I'm genuinely happy for him. Okay, like I'm happy that Messi has won all these trophies that he won. But why should that affect how I interact with the sport of soccer or like my city or the team that I like or any other aspect of my life?
I don't get it. I would understand it. And here's where it's weird to me, and this is a very weirdly specific. I almost want to say it's a very specific Messi thing, and I guess the yin to the yang is Ronaldo, because it feels like that Messi fans and Ronaldo fans are like Peter Griffin and the chicken, where they are just two forces that are fated to fight for all eternity. I don't see this in other sports. Maybe, and like I like to think I follow a lot of this, but I don't see a ton of like Tom Brady. I didn't see a ton of people that were Tom Brady fans that weren't also New England Patriot fans. There weren't people out there that at least I saw that were out there that are just like, I am a Tom Brady stan. I care only about Tom Brady. I don't care about anything else. Like, I didn't like Tom Brady till he played for the Buccaneers. I was like okay with him. I respected that he was talented, but I wasn't going into the mentions fighting people that were like, actually, he's not as good as Joe Montana. It's like, I don't give a shit. It's the same thing with baseball players. I don't see people who are Aaron Judge stans or Shohei Ohtani stans that are fighting people that don't follow a team. They just like this guy. It is a very uniquely and very weird thing with just soccer and just Leo Messi and to a lesser extent Ronaldo. And you said streamers. I have a sort of a different kind of view on this, because I think streamers are a thing, because the guy we got force fed at the MLS All-Star game, the I Show Speed guy, like his whole bit, I think, when he started out was that he was like just a Ronaldo stan and just loved Ronaldo and wanted to meet Ronaldo, and he parlayed that into somehow being on a Dick's Sporting Goods commercial, that your parents were confused as to who the guy that was in the star of that commercial was. But I think in large part, it has a lot to do with the fact that there's just a lot of people who, you know, they follow soccer, but because of the way soccer is set up, where, you know, unless you're following, if you're European and you follow one of like the 5 richest clubs or the 6 richest clubs, your club's really not going to accomplish anything. And like, there's this sort of lie about pro rel that, oh, it gives every club a chance. Well, most clubs don't have a chance. And so I think that you combine that with the rise of streaming and the rise of instant highlights and everybody being online. And I think that the sport has spawned inadvertently a generation of fans that just they don't care about clubs, they care about stars and they care about superstars. And you look at these people, it's like they don't have a team they follow. Who do they follow? They follow the team that the biggest star is on. So like they're a Barcelona fan when Messi is playing there, or a PSG fan when he's playing there. And they consume the sport in a way that is just so foreign to me. I don't understand interacting with them. Like I don't understand getting this joy out of one player on a team sport succeeding or his team succeeding when it's like my man, I'm begging you to go watch your team. Like go buy a ticket to whatever team is in your neighborhood and go watch your neighborhood team. Go watch that team in your league. Go support the guys that play for your side. And understand that I desperately do not care about players that play for teams that aren't my team or that are actively playing against my team. Like I'm not the weird one in this scenario. I promise you that. Well, I am, but for, other reasons, I think.
Well, I feel like I've never gotten why people are like Tiger Woods fans or like Roger Federer fans or like Formula One fans, because it seems like in those individual sports, a lot of people are just like, oh, I'm a fan of the best guy,
Right.
Or the best gal. And I just don't get that. Like, I get being a fan of like tennis, and you're like, I like to watch tennis. And I would root for the best tennis match, right?
Right.
And so like you appreciate like, oh man, this was like a really good tennis match. Both players played really well. I don't understand wanting somebody to win just because they're the best.
I don't understand that. I understand that in a sport like tennis or Formula One or golf, like you're gonna have your guy. Because there's no team.
I don't think I've ever had a guy.
I haven't either.
I've watched a lot of tennis. I've never had like a guy.
I've never had a guy. I've had players like watching golf that I like. That I'm like, yeah, I like his game. He seems like a good dude. What
do you mean in golf? What do you mean his game? You watch them take a shot, and then 2 hours later, you watch them take another shot.
Well, it's like 15 minutes when they're at the top of the leaderboard. Let's be real here. No, but like you've got guys like Phil Mickelson who are degenerate gamblers and who do dumb things, and occasionally it works. And when they, do dumb things, they have to do something spectacular to get themselves out of dumb things. It's like maybe it's like I like their game is a strong thing. It's just they have a personality that I find myself drawn to a little bit as I watch the content and I watch the event. And their personality.
What I really like about this golfer's game is he tries to get to the hole in the fewest shots.
What I like about this golfer's game is that he has way more confidence than brain cells, and it occasionally leads to him being in the woods, and I find that incredibly relatable. And also that like he has never met a piece of action he didn't want to get on, and is going to put money down on himself or other people all the time. I like that. But those are all sports where you don't have a team. Like there isn't the Cincinnati golfer or the Cincinnati tennis player or the Cincinnati F1 driver or something. Like you don't have your team. Like soccer or football or baseball, you've got your team. And I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to, it's my team. Why you wouldn't want to do that versus I'm going to follow this one person. And it's one thing to hate the guy that's really good. I understand hating the guy. I don't understand like loving the guy and to the extent that like that replaces your love of a team or something local to you. Because you look at these people that are in your mentions whenever you talk about Messi online, they don't have a local team. It's just Messi and the goat emoji, or Messi and Inter Miami, or like PSG and Messi. It's like, my man, you live nowhere near Paris. You've never been to a Leo Messi game. He doesn't know you exist. He doesn't need you in the random mentions of MLS fans saying, hey, what would be keen is if they enforce the rules when this guy skips an event and, that there's some actual consequences to this guy's behavior and the choices he makes. it's profoundly weird the way that the interactions went this week. And
Yeah, like I've said it before. Like I'll show up. I think people said this in response to like some of the booing about Messi, where it's like you have to show up and like appreciate what he's done and
No,
what he
I
does.
don't.
And I'm like, I'll come to Messi's work and like clap for him out of appreciation for what he does when he shows up to my work and like claps for me and out of appreciation for what I do.
You would hate that.
Right,
But that you at your very core, you would despise that if someone
Right.
showed up at your office and started clapping.
but like Messi being good at soccer, like I can acknowledge how good he is. But it doesn't make my life better in any way. Like he's not like paying for my vacation
No.
or like
Well, shit. If I have a couple more,
throwing in on my.
if I have a couple more tweets like I did this week, but talking about him, he might be paying for something at some point.
But he's not like he's not like throwing in on my mortgage or
No.
anything. Like what does it do for me?
So
If Messi is good and like I'm a Cincinnati fan. I want Cincinnati to do well.
right.
And I don't understand why people don't get about that.
The only thing I can figure is that if you've never followed a team in a league where this is your team and you care deeply about it, and all you've ever done in your life is I want to see the best player, or I just want to follow this one person and do one thing. I don't think you can ever have that kind of attachment that you have to your hometown team to a person who's never set foot on your team or played against your team. I refuse to believe that you can care that much, and that everything about this is compensation otherwise. So I guess that leads to this. Were you surprised that MLS actually went through with the suspension of Leo Messi and his partner in crime? The only name popping into my head is Sergio Busquets, and that wasn't the one that got suspended.
Jordi
It was
Alba.
Jordi Alba. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I
in
was
there.
I was surprised. I would like to know what happened, but what went on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
On this. I don't think Miami did themselves any favors. It seemed like they gave every indication that Messi and Alba were going to show up to the All-Star game until like the last possible moment.
Right.
And they withdrew. And which meant that like there wasn't time to pick another person who might have liked to get an All-Star bonus.
Right.
To replace them.
So before you go on, this was the quote from Jonathan Tannenwald, the goalkeeper on Twitter, which goes directly to your point. No sympathy with Inter Miami's complaints over here. All Messi and Alba had to do was withdraw before the morning of the game so MLS could name a replacement. Instead, they denied their fellow players the opportunity and the bonus checks someone paid less might like to have. So yeah, I think that's a really good point, that by doing this, they kind of screwed someone. We don't know who, but at least two people got screwed out of a payday and an opportunity to compete in the All-Star game. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but that was the pertinent trait right there.
And then you had Javier Mascherano come out and say that, no, they're fine. It's just we held them out because of fatigue.
Right.
Right. When, like, how fatigued could you possibly be? You fly private to Austin. You walk around for 10 minutes on the field while people clap for you.
Right.
Like, this is not a big ask.
No.
Of people who we're simultaneously told that we're supposed to support everything Miami does because it pushes the league forward, while simultaneously being asked to like understand that they don't want to do anything to promote the league as a whole.
Right.
That it's fair that they're willing to cut anything out that doesn't advance Inter Miami. And honestly, like, that's what I would expect from a player for Inter Miami. But no other Inter Miami players or no other players around the league are we told like, no, you need to support this player because they're raising the league up. And you know, what has Messi done to advance any team other than Inter Miami? Like, when he's gone, all these Messi people are going to leave.
Right.
Except for maybe some that happen to live in South Florida that may stay as fans of Inter Miami.
Right.
But, like, that only advances
Inter
Miami.
Again.
It doesn't grow FC Cincinnati.
No.
So, like, what am I supposed to care about?
So, to me, this was the point that I made. You know, maybe I did this inartfully, but I don't care, honestly. And that's this idea that Lionel Messi is the only player in this league where his money is coming out of FC Cincinnati's pocket. Now, I understand single entity, all that sort of thing. You sign your deals with the league, yada, yada, yada. Designated players are all discretionary spends from
Not all
ownership.
Discretionary spend.
They're
Up to
the
the max budget charge, but
right. Up to the max salary budget charge. Anything above that is discretionary spend for an owner with a designated player. That includes the entirety of the transfer fee. The entirety of the transfer fee is discretionary spend. Everything that is above max salary budget charge is a discretionary spend. Every dime Kevin Denke makes over $700,000 is discretionary spend, give or take $700,000, is discretionary spend from Carl Linder and the ownership group.
Yep.
Lionel Messi is the only player who the money he is making is not coming out of Jorge Mas's pocket entirely. A portion of Lionel Messi's salary is being paid by the Apple TV rights that the league as a whole collects and distributes to the teams evenly, and then a portion of the Adidas jersey sales. So the minute that happens, where every team is subsidizing Lionel Messi's existence in MLS, I do start to have a problem a little bit with the idea that you can't show up at the All-Star game and jog around for 15 minutes at the end of the game when you get subbed in, wave at everyone, do the TV partners right, and come off the field. Now, I do have a problem that you refuse to do media that's English language media. Even through a translator, you won't do English language media. I have a problem with that because you're being paid by everyone. And so you're not just Inter Miami's responsibility. Your responsibility is not just to Inter Miami. Everyone in the league has made the decision that we're going to be paying you because we think there's some benefit here. And at some point, that benefit's got to come due, I think. At some point, there has to be something that you are offering to this league that is above and beyond just showing up and being Lionel Messi. And the fact that they felt confident enough to openly admit, oh, yeah, no, we held him out because he's fatigued and didn't want to do this. What are you going to do about it? That was even more shocking to me than the fact that they suspended him. That they didn't even do the courtesy of lying and say he picked up a knock or that he wasn't able to play. That they were just like, yeah, he's tired. Do something about it. What do you want from us? We played a lot of games. Like, my brother in Christ, a lot of teams have played a lot of games. Denny Bouanga played in the All-Star game. LAFC also played in the Club World Cup. Like, I'm sorry, you're not special in terms of the number of matches that you've had to play. Not even in this league standard. And the fact that you won't even lie a little bit to try and get out of this, just that to me was shocking.
Yeah. And the arrogance that came out of Miami, both before and after this game, is absolutely what people complain about. Like,
yes,
there was an understanding on all parties that there was a rule. And like, yeah, we can argue about the rule, but you don't change the rule after somebody broke it. You change the rule at the end of the season before next season. And everybody seems to understand that there was a rule that if you skip the All-Star game, you miss the next league game. And so Miami's complaint was that the rule should not have applied to them.
Right.
Like, that's what their complaint is.
Right.
And you had Jorge Mas come out and say, oh, these guys are
Here, I'm going to read the exact quote right here.
Yeah, go
Messi
ahead.
and Alba are different from other players. You know why? Because they are winners. Look at the career they've built. They want to play and compete in serious games. That is insane that an
Dude,
MLS owner went out and said that publicly.
yeah, like you had winners come show up and play the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Like, like you had Chucky Lozano come and play the All-Star game. You had Denny Bwanga, who's won a bunch of trophies in this league, come and play the All-Star game. And I'm not saying like these people are in the same class as Messi and Alba.
They signed the same goddamn standard player agreement.
Exactly. They're in the same league now.
Yeah.
And Jorge, like if Jorge Mas, nobody made Jorge Mas buy an MLS team.
No.
Like go buy a team in Serie A. If that's the only league with like winners in it. If you want to denigrate the players across MLS as just categorically not winners, you shouldn't have bought a team in this league.
No. But just like the arrogance of saying that. I mean, what are you saying about every other player that's in this league? What are you saying about every player that went and fulfilled their obligations to play in the All-Star game? Do you really think like Evander wanted to be there? You think he wouldn't rather have been in Cincinnati, like taking a night off? He showed up. He was a good sport about all this. He played 45 minutes. That's a competitive disadvantage for a weekend game. You don't think that any of those other guys that were playing in that game, Seb Berhalter, we mentioned Denny Bwanga, you don't think these guys wouldn't rather have a night off? Diego Rossi wouldn't rather have a night off?
Yeah, Diego Rossi, that's a winner.
Yeah.
Like he's won as many trophies in the last 2 years in MLS as Lionel Messi has.
Yeah.
And he's won an MLS Cup in the last 2 years.
He made CONCACAF Champions League final.
Yeah. Lionel Messi has not.
Has not.
Right? And we brought up this complaint before that if you are constantly like bending the rules to accommodate these guys and to act like our number one priority is creating as many conditions as possible that support Inter Miami winning, it's disrespectful to the other players in the league who are showing up to compete under the league's ordinary restrictions.
Yeah.
And it treats those players like their professionalism doesn't matter. And that's what at least one owner of the league has shown is how he thinks about this league. That the other players are the Washington Generals.
Yeah, that these other teams only exist because Lionel Messi has to play someone. That, Sergio Busquets has to play someone. That and now, Rodrigo de Paul has to play someone now. And that the only reason for their existence is so that they can use these other teams to win. Here was the final quote that I want to mention from this Jorge Mas press conference before I think we can move on from this and get to the game. Quote, Lionel Messi is extremely upset. I'm hopeful it doesn't have an impact long term. Will it have an impact on Messi's perception on the league, its rules? No doubt. Come on. Do you have any idea how soft that sounds? That we have hurt Lionel Messi's feelings by suspending him, and it would be a shame if this was what made him take his ball and go home and leave the league. And won't you all feel so bad when Lionel Messi leaves because you had the audacity to enforce the rules against him? Come on. That is baby shit soft. I'm sorry.
Go to Saudi Arabia, man. I don't
Just
care. Go. I'll make a little less money the next time I have a concert ticket that conflicts with an FC Cincinnati game. Otherwise, my life will not change.
No. So I posed this question online. At this point, is this doing damage? Is the Messi stuff doing damage to the league? Because like you said, I don't get the sense a lot of these people, like Messi #1 fan goat emoji, I don't get the sense these people are sticking around once Uncle Leo decides he's shuffling off to whatever's next for him. But I do get the sense that there is a large number of just regular fans of this league that are kind of sick of the dog and pony show and everything being about Messi and Inter Miami and Messi and Inter Miami. And, here where they're bringing in another designated player by completely, obliterating any semblance of following what we understand the MLS rules to be. And, oh, look, we bought and sold another international spot within 24 hours when we're already appear to be short on international spots as it is. I do get the sense that there is, among the fans of this league, there is starting to become a lot of Messi fatigue. And I wonder what this does to the perception of, regular fans who are, this league appears to be fixed in favor of whatever it is that makes the star player happy in this whole situation. And I do worry that there's going to be some long-term ramifications of this.
Yeah, I think that I've said it from the beginning, is the way they treat Messi in this league gives the impression that the league is not worth watching if Lionel Messi is not in it. And I don't know how you're supposed to win fans that way.
Yeah.
Like, what you should sell is, we have Lionel Messi, and look how much competition the other teams in the league give him.
Right.
We don't know if Messi's going to win day in, day out, because, he's got to play on a team with a salary cap. He's got to play with homegrown players. He's got to play with U22s. And you know what? These other teams have good players in their own right. They have up-and-coming stars. They got Evander.
Yeah.
They have Cucho Hernandez. It's like, that's how you should be selling it, right? That it's not a foregone conclusion that Messi's going to win a trophy. Instead, they seem hell-bent on getting as many pictures of Messi holding a trophy as possible, and telling people nearly explicitly that the only thing worth knowing or seeing in MLS is Lionel Messi's Inter Miami.
Right.
And I don't know anything. I don't think that's a great way to position your league to an audience with a post-Messi future, whether that's next year or 3 years from now or whenever. But I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. The person I always think of in these types of conversation is their Florida derby. Do they have a name for the Orlando-Miami derby? Is there anything they call it that?
I don't know.
Right, the tax haven derby. Martin Ojeda, Argentinian, one of the best young players in this league, only 26 years old. You don't think it would have done the league a little bit of good to see him on the field in the All-Star game with Lionel Messi, young rising star that you can market around the country, market down to South America. Evander on the same field. I don't know. It feels like that's what made this an extra slap in the face to me, was that it's just yet another thing where we are serving one person's interest.
Like, what if Messi does the skills competition and a bunch of people around the world watch it to see Messi, and they accidentally see Evander put on a clinic?
I don't know.
Would that be bad for the league?
Having a ton of people around the world all on X, the everything app, it's all happening on X, talking about who is this guy that just absolutely schooled Lionel Messi in this drill?
Yeah.
Why are they afraid of that? That would be the best thing ever. Like, that's sports, man. People crave these passing of the torch moments. They crave, Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes. The aging GOAT versus the heir to the throne. People love this stuff, and we're like hell-bent on not giving that to them in this league.
You know what it is it's like The Rock putting in his contract that he can't lose a fight in a movie.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that was literally Hulk Hogan, all right, kind of rest in peace. That was his
Like,
contract with WCW. He couldn't be pinned unless he
Right.
agreed to it.
because it's like, oh man, it might be like really good to be in a movie where, you know, you're not portrayed as like the strongest guy, right? It builds like dramatic tension. You know, there's like some uncertainty, there's some stakes to like, you know, you lose a fight and then it's like, well, is he going to get it together and like kind of figure out a way to like come out on top? Like people might be really interested in that, but then it's like, no, I got too much pride
Right.
to be shown losing to somebody.
Yeah. He's also a noted James Gunn hater, and there's a lot of rumors that he was trying to sabotage the Superman movie from behind the scenes as well. He and
Who, The Rock?
The Rock, yeah, wanting to
I
make
don't
Black
know
Adam.
anything about that.
Yeah, no. The internet goes deep on a lot of these subjects. So anyway, that's all the backdrop to the match. We find out in the afternoon on Friday that Lionel Messi and Jordi Alba will, in fact, be suspended for missing the All-Star game. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Major unforced error having this happen on a Friday as opposed to a Thursday when you could have gotten a full day of content out of it. Friday news dump's just terrible for this. But that also goes back to your point. What the hell were they debating for 48 hours on this? Like, the suspension should have been 20 minutes after the All-Star game kicked off, and he didn't make the 18 because they were back in Florida. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. So we get to Saturday for this matchup. The lineup drops. I'm going to go ahead and read it out here, doing my best Kevin Wallace. In goal, Roman Celentano, your three center backs going left to right across your podcast dial. Lucas Engel, Matt Miazga, Miles Robinson. Your wingback on the left side, Luca Orishano. On the right side, DeAndre Yedlin. Your midfield is a combination of Brian Anunga and Pavel Buka, with Evander playing in the advanced 10 ahead of them. Kai Kamara and Dado Valenzuela up top. Grayson, when this lineup drops, what's your thoughts on how the night's going to go?
You know, that's the best lineup you can put out.
That's the ones right now, for better or worse.
So, you know, you just beat Inter Miami 3-0 at home with Messi and Alba on the field. You think, all right, they should pick up a win tonight.
Yeah. A lot of changes from the last time we saw this team. Quite literally, when we saw this team, probably not a lot of you seeing this team. Shouts to the 12s that we saw and met out in Utah. Changes from the previous lineup. Previous lineup featured Gilberto Flores, Teenage Hidabi, Alvis Powell, and Corey Baird, all playing in that match. So we had, by my count, 4 changes from what we saw midweek. There were quite a few people that managed to get a decent amount of rest due to the rotation that we had versus Real Salt Lake. Evander played, about 45 minutes, I want to say, in the All-Star game before
he
getting
played the
subbed
whole
out.
first half, I think.
So he got a nice little run, but, you know, I mean, it's spoiler alert. The All-Star game, nobody's going completely full speed in an All-Star game. And the other thing, too, is that people forget they run in training, too. So it's not like if he hadn't been playing in the All-Star game, he would have been, you know, having a quiet afternoon and day alone, not having to do any work anyway on a Wednesday. There is not a lot to talk about in this game at all because it ends 0-0, as you're aware of. So I guess maybe talk about some sort of big pictures on this. Why did this team struggle so much against a Miami team that just last week they beat the brakes off of? And now Miami was down 2 of their best players. What changed in 10 days' time to make this such a drastically different match?
So part of the answer is I don't know, but part of the answer is Miami played more of a pressing, more of like a MLS style.
Yeah. Get younger. Makes it easier.
They played like they were the worst team on the field talent-wise, which they were. And, you know, this FC Cincinnati team has struggled with teams that press them. They have struggled playing the ball through the middle for the most of the year. They like to play the ball on the wings, which creates opportunities if they don't play the ball so cleanly. on the wings. And, you know, if it's a game where they're struggling in the front to have consistent chances to hold the ball, then they'd never get better at that through the course of the game. It's how they roll. And, you know, Pat Noonan said after the game that the front three were bad.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with him. But he talks a lot about like the decision making with the ball and stuff. And I think at some point he needs to say, like, is he telling them to do things they're not doing?
Right. Like what when you say the decision making is a problem, what decisions are not being made?
Are messages are the messages from the coaching staff not getting through to the players? Are the players misunderstanding the direction? Are the players ignoring direction and just doing whatever they want? Or are the players given limited direction and trying to figure it out on their own? And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't.
Right.
You know, like I want to know what's going on from the coaching standpoint, because we're, 25 games into the season and 26 games into the season.
I'm going to fact check that real quick. Keep talking.
And the team is, they're consistently not looking like
25.
They're consistently not looking like a team that has spent as much money as it had on the attacking side of the ball. And I know Kevin Denke was not out there, but you had MVP candidate, MVP favorite, All-Star game favorite Evander out there.
Yeah.
You have plenty of money on the field, and we've seen teams with a lot less talent, with a lot less money invested in them, look much more cohesive playing the ball. I mean, Philly again had a night where they scored 3 goals.
Yeah.
I believe overtook us on the Supporter Shield standings.
1 point ahead of us in the latest Supporter Shield as a result of their 3-1 vet over Colorado, I want to believe.
Yeah.
Rapids.
And
so
go ahead.
I have this thought, and I watch this team, like everybody else does. Number one, I agree with your assessment that what was different between these two games was that, in a way, and this is so strange to say, this team matches up better with Lionel Messi on the field and Jordi Alba on the field than it does with them off the field. And this is the reason why, is that when Messi is on the field and it's old Miami on the field, they don't press because they don't want to run Messi and Suarez and Alba and Busquets. They don't want to run these guys long distances in the heat. So they tend to hold back. They let us play our game to a certain extent. When those guys are off the field, the team's a lot younger, and they were up in our kitchen. And this team does not do well under pressure. And the reason for that, I think, and, I'm a moron, so don't take my word for any of this, is it feels like our patterns of play involve us moving the ball out wide to the wingbacks, and the wingbacks almost always receive the ball with their back to goal. And then as soon as they receive the ball, the defense and the press pinches down, trapping them against the sideline. And the only way through then at that point is either you have to make an incredible touch, which Luka tries and is sometimes successful with to get by someone, or you have to pass back immediately. And so the ball goes from the center back out to the wing back. The wing back is trapped on the sideline when the defense pinches down on the press. The ball recycles back to the center back. And every time this process happens, there is an opportunity for either someone to stick a toe in and deflect a pass, or for a pass not to be weighted properly and a heavy first touch gets away from someone and then it's a turnover and we're going the other direction, which is kind of why I think that Kai Kamara has been such a big addition to this team, because it's offered them an opportunity to play out from Roman and bypass this sort of this process of doom of going to the sidelines and meanderingly playing back and forth. That they can go to Kamara, and then Kamara can offload to someone who gets the ball going towards goal instead of having their back to goal. I get the sense watching this team that we've said it before. I don't think this formation works. I think it succeeds sometimes in spite of itself. I think that this team is crying out for wingers instead of wingbacks, because the wingbacks, we don't see those runs that Miami makes and other teams make against us where the wingers just go and you're playing over the top or you're making line breaking passes. The wingbacks are playing too conservative, so you're not seeing those through balls that are coming to people that are running into open space down the sidelines. We're trying to play to that open space, but with 3 or 4 intricate passes that move up the field instead of one big pass, because nobody wants to sprint and get themselves out of position right there. So I just think this entire formation is, we don't have the personnel to play it. The personnel to play this would be wingbacks that are way, way better at close controlled passing and close controlled possession, and midfielders that are way better at making quick decisions and passing quickly out of pressure. And instead, we've got guys that want to dribble, which you're not going to be able to dribble through a press. You got to pass through a press. And it just leads to us getting bogged down before we can actually get the ball into the offensive third. And if that made any sense to you, God help you, because I have no idea what I'm talking about, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, why, we've said it before, but why do we need to play with 3 center backs and a Brian Anunga? You know, and Anunga was really good.
He's probably one of the 2 or 3 best players in the field for FC Cincinnati.
He's been really good for a couple of games.
Yeah.
But, like, if he's really good, maybe we don't need 3 center backs. Maybe we can add a midfielder, you know?
Or let Luka play further upfield. Like, let him play as a winger.
Because people complain about, like, the space behind Luka when he gets forward as a wingback, and a lot of times that space is left open because we isolate the ball on the side, and he's like kind of on an island trying to dribble through people. But you do need people going forward. Yeah. Right? And if the plan is to go forward with the wingbacks and to play a bunch of center backs and a purely defensive midfielder, you got to figure out a way to deal with that space. Yeah. Like, someone has to go forward and try to attack. Someone's got to play with the ball. Right. And so you can't say that, like, the player who it's kind of like your primary way of advancing the ball also needs to already be in the defensive third when the other team goes on a counterattack. Like, that's just not workable. No. You know, and I'm not saying, like, because, you know, I think Luka runs a lot when he plays, and, you know, he tries to defend plenty. It's not like his strength by any means, but if he's advancing the ball and we lose the ball and the other team counters quickly, it's unfair to expect him to be in that space. Yeah. When he was just, like, at the opposite end. Like, it's fair to say, like, you should be getting back. It's unfair to expect him to already be there. And so you need to understand that space is going to be there and figure out how you're going to fill it. Whether that's a Nunga shifting over or some other way, or the center backs and Yedlin forming a back four, there has to be some way. And we can't, we simply can't be complaining about there being space open on the left side of our defense when we don't have any way to advance the ball beyond Orishano dribbling.
Yeah. And the problem is that like Orishano's skill set seems to be run and get him into space. And we're trying to pass through him. And I just don't think I don't think that's been effective at all this year. I think it's been a major hindrance when he was playing up top as well, is that they need to be doing things that tell him, stop focusing so much on tracking back, stop focusing so much on passing, and get open. Get yourself into space where people can find you. Because I don't think asking him, Brian Anunga, and Lucas Engel to pass their way through a press, I think you're asking everyone in that equation to do something that is not their primary skill set. And if this was the way you wanted to play, then you needed to be targeting guys who are better passers and are better receivers of the ball.
The other thing about it is, we talked about the formation maybe not working. The problem is, like, this is the formation.
Yeah.
Like, this is the formation, this is the team.
Yeah.
And I've seen some talk about, like, oh, well, we can get, like you talked about, like, Kai Kamara.
Right.
Giving the team a way to play vertical. And people have talked about, like, a big body, like, U22 striker profile. Like, in one respect, we had that last year and chose not to keep it. But
we chose not to keep it at the price, I think is
sure.
important.
We chose not to keep it.
Yeah.
At the price, I mean, the price is the price. Like, we haven't brought in another one that was cheaper.
No.
Presumably, if that was available, we would have done it. But the other thing is, like, if we're constantly needing, like, a perfect profile kind of guy, something fundamentally is not working. And the team is not going to sign another DP this summer.
No.
Right?
No, if they were going to do that, they would have signed Thomas Muller. If they were,
they're not going to sign,
DP.
and I don't think they're going to sign a Max Tam player.
No, I don't
this
think so
summer.
either.
And so, the kind of player who's fundamentally going to change your team and make a huge impact on the field is not coming this year. So, if they need to figure out how to play with the guys they got. Yeah. And it is frustrating that, and people can talk about, like, the table all they want, but you go into an elimination game, and if you're playing Philly, you're playing Columbus, you're playing another team with the ability to, like, switch up and press us. How are you feeling?
Not good. I mean, all right, give the devil their due. Not to be, just think that this is entirely negative. Number one, they kept a clean sheet for the third match in a row. So, it does feel like the defense has the issues we were having earlier in the year and during the bad week, that as it's been trademarked and termed by the postcast. It does feel like a lot of those issues have been sorted at this point.
Right. Roman had another great game.
Another great game from Roman.
If we had Miami's goalkeeper, we lose this game.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. I agree with that. If we had, I think, anything less than Roman Celentano, I think we not only lose this game, I think we lose the last game against RSL, or we draw at least the last game against RSL. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that the defense, that however else we quibble about the formation and how the team is playing, the defense has played very, very well. I think a lot of that is Brian Anunga getting much more comfortable. I think Matt Miazga getting back to fuller fitness and regaining a little bit of his foot speed and his catch-up speed. I think has been big for that. Roman Celentano standing on his head, also been great for that. So I think that is important to note. I think the other thing that's probably worth noting at this point is that the team did generate goal-scoring chances in this match that you would think perhaps a healthy and available Kevin Denke scores that Dado Valenzuela did not in this match. And I know Kevin's not here to defend his guy, and I don't want to be, anti-Dado. I do think it's very weird that Dado is kind of like the invisible boy from Mystery Men. He can only be special when no one's watching him. That the second that you expect Dado to follow up a big game or a big performance with another big performance, it does kind of feel like it just doesn't happen. I know he's only 20 and there's a lot of growth left there, but he has his great game against Inter Miami a week ago on that Wednesday midweek match, follows it up with, I think, a tremendously poor match against RSL, and then comes back and plays, I think, another tremendously poor match, this match against Miami, where he had multiple opportunities to do something. He had at least two really, really good chances at goal. One he completely made a meal of. The second one he just timidly struck. I think he mishit directly into the keeper. You think that perhaps if Kevin Denke is healthy, that's a goal right there. So I don't want to say that it was all doom and gloom against Miami. I think that maybe if you run this back with Kevin Denke, the game is different. But to your bigger point, yeah, like you're going to be going up against teams that can generate 2 and 3 goals a game. And we saw 3 goals against Inter Miami last week, but that's the exception to the rule, not the rule. This team, it needs to figure out at some point between now and the end of the year, with the people it has on the field, how are you going to start generating 2 and 3 goals a game? Because, 1 versus RSL and now 0 this week, that's just not going to cut it in elimination games. And what you're ending up with is your best case scenario is going to a penalty shootout where it just becomes a coin flip, I think.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, the table to date is fine for what it's worth. Columbus just signed a DP9. Miami is bringing in a DP level midfielder. They've been linked to a La Liga center back. They've been linked to other players. Vancouver apparently is bringing in Thomas Muller. Teams that we are neck and neck with currently are getting better in very significant ways in the immediate term. And this team's best chance of getting better is figuring out how to get the most out of the players that it has. And they haven't really done that. And we haven't seen much to think that they are capable of doing that. And if the team comes out of this year without a trophy, that's going to be the question. The question is going to be, are the players not as good as we rated them? Or is there another reason why we didn't get the most we could out of them?
Yeah.
And, I think we're getting to the point in the season where we can wonder, did we get $30 million of value out of our attack? Did we get value out of having the most TAM players of any team in the league?
It's worth pointing out this team is 6-1-1 in its last 8 games played.
Yeah, it has gotten basically no separation.
No.
From the top of the table.
No, because the East is really, really good. The top of the East is really, really good. There's a lot of parity at the top.
And Philly's entire roster makes Evander's transfer fee.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's accurate. I think the other thing to note in all of this is that we've played a significantly easier schedule than a lot of the other teams that we are around have played. I think Columbus has, they lost to Orlando this week, 3-1. But I think that the only difficult team they have left is Orlando again. Like the rest of their
Yeah,
schedule is tissue paper soft.
but we get the chance to beat Philly.
We do. We get a
You
chance.
know,
We get a
the
big
chance to
say.
take it.
Yeah, we get a big say so in our own destiny because we play a lot of these teams going down the stretch still. The other thing too is, I mean, look, Denke is out. Have we gotten $30 million of value out of our attack? Probably before that Columbus game, you would have said yeah, but now we've had to go a couple weeks without Kevin Denke, and there really isn't a timetable on his return. You know, we're hearing things like, oh, he's progressing on schedule, but I mean, shit, this Sergio Santos is, you know, always perpetually hurt, and we don't know what the timetable on him is. I don't think anyone knows if Yuya Kubo is alive right now because we
Yeah.
haven't gotten any updates on what his situation is or even what his injury is. So I think that you're fair to be skeptical of what the return and what the timetable is for Denke. You just sort of got to hope that he comes back and this team is, you know, it's doing okay without him thus far. Since he got injured, the team is 2 wins, 1 draw. So they're at least treading water at this point, and they get a full weekend off with Leagues Cup from play. So there were
the only, I think we've hit a lot of the important topics from this game.
I was going to go to the end of the game now.
Yeah.
So I was going to skip
Yeah.
ahead. This team created chances, and then really and truly, there are some substitutes that come on for this game. It's another problem with this team, unfortunately, and that's that when you look down the bench as to who is going to, in a 0-0 game, who are you going to bring on in order to change the game state? Man, is there just not a lot of good options out there. They bring on Teenage Hidabi and Sergio Santos, taking off, I believe at the time, Kai Kamara and Dado Valenzuela. Which, when you say, is the team going to be changed with another addition? I do think a U22 tall attacker, just someone that can play and take over for Kamara and play when Kamara comes off the field. I do think there's some value in that. They also bring on Alvis Powell, Brad Smith, and Corey Baird all come into this game late. We get into stoppage time. There is a corner kick that is awarded to FC Cincinnati. It is the play everyone is talking about. The ball, it's a in-swinging ball that finds the head of Miles Robinson in front of goal.
That's not a corner kick. It's off of a free kick.
Is it off a free kick? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Whatever. Set piece. I was so angry I didn't even follow back to watch this again. It's a ball that finds the head of Miles Robinson, who heads it home. The goal is then waved off. We all look, try and see what the hell they're talking about. Miles Robinson is clearly onside, and the ruling is, I believe, whistled in from the sideline official that Miles Robinson made contact with the head of the defender, fighting for position to get in position to head the ball. The goal is waved off. It goes to VAR. But my understanding is that because there was a foul on the field that was called, the only thing that VAR under MLS rules can look at is whether or not there is a clear and obvious error. And since the replay shows that Miles Robinson made some contact, which it's a set piece in the box, everybody's making contact with everybody else. Because Miles Robinson made some contact with the defender, it cannot be adjudged to be a clear and obvious error. The goal is waved off. The match ends 0-0. I was as mad watching this as I have been at the end of an FC Cincinnati game in a really, really long time. I don't get it. That, to me, looked like every set piece I have ever seen. I've watched soccer for the majority, if not all, of my adult life. The way that set pieces and the fight for position in the box is officiated makes no sense. There is no consistency from match to match or game to game. It feels like all crime is legal for the defense, and it is arbitrary and capricious when the offense is adjudged to have committed a foul. I can count on one hand in my life how many times I've seen a PK awarded for contact on a free kick or a corner kick that would result in an immediate whistle and a point to the spot under any other circumstance. I just fundamentally don't understand how set pieces are officiated, and this made absolutely no sense to me at all.
It's one of the most match fixy kinds of plays in the game, because if you ask any player, and you talked in Sasha Kleston and Dax McCarty talked about this after the game, they need to, if this is going to be called a foul on Miles Robinson here, they need to fundamentally how they change how they call set pieces in the box all the time moving forward, because you could make this call every time. And if you let players, and I want to talk about the actual contact in a second, but I'm talking kind of big picture right now. If you let players play set pieces a certain way, they're going to play it that way, and they're going to understand that they can do certain things, right? And then if you make an exception and you call a foul in that moment, whether it's on the defense or the offense, you've fixed the game. Like, I'm sorry, you have changed the outcome of the game intentionally. Through your actions, without in a way that I don't think you can put within the realm of just good, clean officiating, right? If you call a penalty that's ordinarily a penalty, and the team scores the penalty and wins the game, you haven't fixed the game, because you called it how it's ordinarily called. Here, this is not how this is ordinarily called, and as Sasha and Dax mentioned, if you look before Miles puts his hand on the defender, the
defender has him.
The defender has like two fists full of Miles's jersey.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're going to go look at this on VAR and say that this is a foul on Miles, I think you have a moral obligation to then call the penalty on the defender.
Right.
Right, because this is reciprocal contact.
Right.
And you can't let the defender, who, by the way, and this is another aspect of the play that bothers me. The defender is not up there challenging for the ball.
No.
Miles is the only person up there actually trying to make a play on the ball. It's one thing if the defender is actually trying to play the ball and Miles puts his hands on his shoulder and stops the defender from jumping up there, right? Or uses the defender to get leverage to get up for the head. This is just Miles is making a play for the ball. He's making a great, strong play in the moment where he's getting up pretty high, despite the fact that the defender is grabbing his jersey with both of his hands and not remotely trying to play the ball. And his hand comes up and touches the defender, but the defender's not an entity. The defender has not made himself a part of the play. The defender has said, I'm not going to try to play the ball. I am purely playing the man.
Yeah.
And in that moment, not just because of how these set pieces are normally called, not just because the defender clearly initiates contact first, but also just in the spirit of the game.
Yeah.
Miles is the only person in the moment playing soccer.
Right. Because everybody knows, and it's exactly why this bothers me so much on how this is officiated, is that this is cynical play from the defense, knowing that in these moments that the official is not going to foul and call a PK, that you will have to draw blood as a defender to get a PK called on you in stoppage time of a game like this. They know that. And I'm sorry, if you're going to officiate that way, if you're going to officiate that, you know what, I am not going to blow the whistle on a defensive foul, then don't come at me with blowing a foul on a ticky-tack bit of contact on the offender. It's got to go both ways. If it is impossible to create a PK on the defense by grabbing the jersey, where if in any other circumstance, if a player has his jersey grabbed in the box and they go down, that's a PK all day. every single day.
But if Miles went down from the jersey grab, they
There'd be
would not
nothing
have
done.
called a penalty.
Would not have called a penalty.
In that moment, they would not have called a penalty.
No, not at all. And so I'm okay with this. If you're going to have it be that there's all crime is legal in the box, I'm fine. But then at the same time, if the defender fights through that contact and plays physical and reaches the apex and actually gets the ball, you've got to award him the goal. You've got to reward him with the goal. Otherwise, what is the point of a set piece? What is the point of what we're doing right here? What's the point of bringing the center backs forward in this scenario? Because that's what the center backs are there for. The center backs are there to get big and jump. What's the point of having a target man in these scenarios? And okay, if that's the way the game's going to be officiated, fine. But announce that and say, this is the way we're officiating the game, and then we can develop strategy that will enable us to play in conformity. But what this is, you're right, it's match fixie. It's at the end of this game, we are going to disallow this goal, and we are going to look retroactively for any reason to disallow this. And then I also don't buy this argument either, that, because the foul was called on the field, that it limits what VAR can do. The hell with that. To me, a clear and obvious error is, I'm sorry, this is not enough contact to call a penalty. Like, that is a clear and obvious error to me, that what you are seeing right here in the replay is not enough contact to justify the call of disallowing the goal. Like, it should go to NFL rules at this point, where all scoring plays are just reviewed, and we're not looking for clear and obvious errors of anything. It is clearly just to see, was this a good score or not? Like, everything is just up for grabs on a review like that. Get away from all this crap of on the field and deference to the official, because it was a bad call that I think was made by the sideline official. That wasn't even.
I think it was made by the center ref. I did think initially it was made by the linesman, but I do think after looking at it today, it was made by the center ref.
Okay,
I could be wrong,
but it doesn't matter. At the end
it
of the
doesn't
day,
matter. It doesn't matter who made it. By the way,
matter.
if the linesman made it, that makes it even worse, because like linesmen never make that call.
Right.
That's
just absurd.
And I think in a VAR situation, I think it would be totally fair for VAR to say, okay, well, if this is a foul, what the defender did first is a foul
is
first.
a PK, is a penalty.
And that's a penalty.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at it like it's a clear and obvious error in that you made a judgment call one way that you didn't give the other way.
Right.
Like,
I'm also okay in this situation too. I honestly think, like, take another look at this. You just disallowed the game-winning goal. VAR should call her over, even if the conversation is, are you sure you want to do this? We're calling you over to the monitor. The audio is going to be, we're not certain this is enough contact. Do you want to take another look at it? Because I don't know how you watch this play again and, like, give Tori Penso a way out. Give her the opportunity to be like, look, I screwed that up. I thought I saw contact. Give her the out on that. I don't think the VAR is doing their officials any favors with stuff like this. If the goal is truly to get it right, give her a chance to go to the monitor and take another look at it, because it was a game-changing play. And for what it's worth, I saw all the shit online from Inter Miami fans about the no call on the penalty for Fafa Pico. That was the dumbest shout for a penalty I've heard in a while. Like, I don't think
he hits him.
I don't think he makes contact with him. I don't think Yedlin touches him at all. Like, he's searching for contact because Fafa Pico is a bum and he's just looking to go down.
And then the teenage Hadebe handball.
He was outside the box. I'm not even worried.
His hand is down at his side.
Yeah.
What do you want?
It's behind him too. Like, his hand is actually behind his body.
What do you want? Like, the hand is in the body.
Yeah. And it's also there's no way it happened in the box either, so I'm not worried about that.
FC had a couple of shouts for penalty too. I thought Dotto had one that probably definitely should have been.
We didn't even get a replay from the TV. Like, what are we doing here on that? And
so I guess, I don't know. We can I think put a pin in this. I think it's a bad result. It stinks that they could have had all three, if not for, I think, a pretty egregious refereeing error. but it shouldn't have come down to that, in my view. But also a point on the road and 4 out of 2 against Inter Miami is pretty good.
Held them scoreless. That's, there's nothing
Yep.
to sneeze at in terms of.
It's three shutouts in a row.
I would have liked
this
it
is
for.
all good.
I would have liked it for Miles. I would have liked Miles to get a goal in that situation, just because
Yeah.
I feel like he needs it. I don't know what I base that on, other than to say that it would have been good for Miles. So as a result of that game, and as a result of the other games that were played around MLS, we now find ourselves in second place in the East and second place in the Supporters Shield standings, sitting on 49 points to Philadelphia's 50 points. We are also tied, for what it's worth, on wins. Both of us have 15 wins. That would be the most wins in MLS. Bringing up the third place in the Supporters Shield standings would be Nashville SC at 47 points. San Diego FC, 46 points behind them. Columbus Crew sitting on 44, tied with Minnesota. That is your Supporters Shield right now. And boy, is it really feeling in this moment like those 2 points from last night are going to be big down the stretch. Now, it could all be for nothing. Who knows? This is about the time the wheels fell off this FC Cincinnati team last year. But as it stands right now, 2 points there, and then dropping points to Columbus after being ahead. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough, but what are you going to do? All right, Grayson, we're going to move on. We're going to answer a few Patreon questions in segment 2, and then we're going to let everybody get on with their Monday. So stick around after the break. Oh, and we are back. And Grayson, we talked long enough in segment 1 that I was able to successfully text Kevin Wallace, who is in an undisclosed location driving somewhere with his family, to get the Patreon password, to get a look at the questions. And not only did I get a look at the questions, I was also able to text him, not just for the login information, but also for the confirmation code that gets sent to his email when I log in. So he was able to relay that back, so we have access to some Patreon questions. As a reminder, you too can join the post-Patreon, the post-Cincy Postcast Patreon. You may ask yourself, what does the post-Cincy Postcast Patreon get me? Well, for your subscription price of $2, you get absolutely nothing. You get no additional content. You get no additional episodes. You get no additional goodies, swag. We don't mail you anything. We don't send you anything. We make no promises whatsoever as to the way you're going to enjoy about your Patreon content. What you do get, however,
is a text from your credit card company asking, did you approve this transaction?
You get the text from your credit card company saying your card appears to have been compromised, because absolutely no one with any common sense would, in fact, subscribe to this right here. Additionally, you get your name in a different color on the Discord to inform everyone that you are a post-Patreon, and you get the ability once a month to ask us a question for the show. And I'm going to talk with you and Kevin offline. We may need to change this up a little bit and offer people the ability to suggest something different than a question, maybe a segment or a topic or some sort of something for us to debate. We shall see, though. That's a separate question right here. That's a separate question for another time. But, however, Redbeard asks us, it is clear that Crew's ownership want to permanently move the team to Cleveland and will eventually try. Do FC fans have any obligation to take sides on where the Crew lives in Ohio? And will the next installment of Die Pridengard address this? Grayson, I'll allow you to answer the second part of this, however you choose.
So, no, because Die Pridengard takes place in a kind of alternative universe. If you had read Die Pridengard, you would already know what happened to the Crew in that world. So, that's all I'll say about that.
That's all I'll say about that. Do we have to take a stance? Do we have a moral obligation to take a stance on what happens to the crew, where the crew go to?
That's a tough one. But I'll say this. I think it's funnier to joke about Crew's ownership wanting to move the team to Cleveland than it is the Crew's ownership actually moving the team to Cleveland.
Yeah, I agree with that. It does bring to mind that when FC Cincinnati joined MLS, there were a contingent of FCC fans that wanted to chant "Save the Crew" at our MLS announcement, which, for any number of reasons, I was vehemently opposed to. Not using our special day to talk about them, but it is what it is. All right, Scott Wilson asks, how do we get the team to do more live on the field halftime entertainment, #free sprinkles? Well, I do want to point out in this spot here that if you have not noticed yet, when the team is at home, there is no bigger fan of the Duncan race than recurring guest of the postcast, Evan Loro, who I believe I have figured out by now, based on his reactions to the Duncan race as it's happening live, he's a big Ice Cuppy fan. I tend to see that he gets the most excited at the progress and the performance of Ice Cuppy. So
I do believe an iced coffee is his drink of choice.
that is true. I think he's an Ice Cup. I think he stands Ice Cuppy. So to me, that's incredible on-field entertainment, is watching Evan live vicariously and die with all of us as we watch the Duncan race at halftime. But Grayson, is there anything that you would want to see the team do at halftime to be a little more interactive with the fans or offer a little more entertainment? I'm guessing, based on Scott's questions, he misses the old penalty kick shootouts they used to do at Nippert, which whomst among us doesn't love a anthropomorphic donut attempting to save goals kicked by children and high school kids. Donuts, of course, being the absolute worst pastry to place in goal, given the form of a donut.
I mean, you probably want like a Danish, in goal.
A croissant covers a little more surface area. Yeah,
and shaped in a useful way too.
Yeah, down. Cover the
a horizontal croissant.
Right, maybe a cruller.
Yeah,
or like an eclair would probably be a really good choice, as long as the eclair was
a cronut.
Cronut, yeah.
I could not care less about halftime entertainment because I don't think I've seen the field during halftime time.
My halftime entertainment is going and getting a beer.
My halftime entertainment is the beer line and the bathroom line.
Right. Maybe 2 beers, depending on how quickly I can get that first one ordered. Just soccer halftime just isn't long enough to do a lot of things. But I mean, if you really want it to work, just hire someone who has worked in minor league baseball. They'll have 30 ideas cooked up for you in no time, whether it's, hamster ball bowling or, live go-karts on the field. They'll figure something out for you there. There is no group of people that are more creative than someone working in a AA or a single A baseball team looking to bring people out and give them a reason to talk about the game afterwards. All right. Dean Lowry asks, it seems like the team lacks killer instinct. What Cincinnati experience would you have the team and or Pat Noonan experience to make them killers?
Walk from the banks to the convention center at like midnight on a Friday.
That's timely and topical right there.
I don't know. We're not like a killer instinct town, to be honest.
We're like a passive-aggressive town. Maybe the answer is go to Kings Island and have someone keep cutting in line in front of them to get on the Vortex or the Beast.
Yeah. Have somebody be aggressive at you and figure out where your breaking point is.
Right. Maybe a tractor trailer jackknifes on 71. Nobody's seriously hurt, but you've really got to be somewhere. And just say, hey, however it takes you to get this car to your destination, you got to be there in 30 minutes. Maybe do something like that. Or have them, go to any Reds game and tell them, you know what, the Big Red Machine was overrated. And just, deal with what people say when you tell them that. That'll make a killer out of you, I think. Price Assassin asks us, is it a distinctly Cincinnati sports fan feeling that even when your team is winning the game or top of the table, to feel like it is just not going to end well? I think that's an unequivocal yes right there. I don't know that needs to be even heavily debated.
Yeah, we're good.
Although I will say, I don't think that's a Cincinnati sports thing. I think that's like an every sports thing. Well, hold on. You're an Ohio State fan. Do you ever truly feel confident watching Ohio State play football?
Against Notre Dame, yes.
Okay. What about like any other team besides Notre Dame?
Yes. Not against Penn State, not against Michigan. And not against a good non-conference team.
Yeah. So even if an Ohio State fan can't ever truly feel like everything is going well, I think that's probably pretty telling. For me, I even when my team goes down by 1, I feel like that's the end of it.
Being an Ohio State fan, you have to hold 2 truisms in your head simultaneously. One is that Penn State sucks and is entirely fraudulent, and the other is Penn State is going to beat us.
Yeah. But like the more important the game gets, the more confident you have to feel as an Ohio State fan. Like if Penn State is like 7-5, you're worried. If Penn State is undefeated going into that game, you can know without a shadow of a doubt that they're gonna choke and trip over their own.
Yeah, they're frauds one way or the other.
One way or the other.
They're frauds in both directions.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Key asks, Miami, I'm going to do this one because this seems very topical for this episode. Miami has different rules, and it's obvious for anyone familiar with MLS rules and eyes. Miami is currently rostering 16 international players, but only has 9 international spots. The players are given the option to skip the All-Star game every year when other players have been suspended. I'll skip the cash under the table bit that is probably true, but isn't as blatant, although they have been sanctioned by this before. Anyway, does this year even count if the rules aren't the same for every club? I mean, that is a good point. Like, we have said it's trophy or bust for the FC, but if Miami is blatantly cheating, is it even possible to lose fairly?
I don't think that's the question. I mean, it is the question, but
it is the question, quite literally.
I think that the consideration, though, is that it may be unfortunate that like these years are the years that like our team has been really going for it and is really going for it and is likely at the best it can or will be. But that's how it is, you know? Like it's like if ownership spends like $30 million this year and doesn't win a trophy in the next couple of years, they're not just going to spend $30 million again.
No.
So like
and Albright has hinted to that as well, that at some point the team needs to transition away from spending a lot of money to the cash flow being in and out, sort of more revenue neutral, I think.
So like maybe it's bad timing, but the fact with whether it counts or not, or whether Miami's cheating or not, they have to win things.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I am cognizant of the fact that, like you said, a lot of teams are getting better around us, and Miami is adding an extra DP and not having to use a DP spot doing that. And I don't think that opportunity is available to everyone. I think that's pretty clear. And that sucks. But yeah, I don't know what to say about it other than that. We will finish up with this one right here. Moomba asks the age-old question, and I think this is just a perfect question to end on right here, given the serious nature of what we've talked about to this point. Grayson, I don't know that we've ever gotten you on the record on this, or maybe even me on the record on this. Is a hot dog a sandwich? I know, it's put your brain in a pretzel right there.
No, because a hot dog is like a piece of meat.
But it is wrapped in bread.
Well, you can like a hot dog. You buy like hot dogs and you buy hot dog buns.
Right. I think that the idea
Right.
is the assembled food item that we collectively refer to as a hot dog. Is that as assembled?
So is I think yes. The question is a hot dog in a hot dog bun a sandwich?
Yes.
And no, it's a taco.
Well, I mean, why? Defend yourself.
Because it's one piece of starch that is folded.
So if the bun breaks at the bottom, then does it become a sandwich?
Yeah.
Okay. So a hot dog is simultaneously, it is a potential sandwich, but it is not in and of itself a sandwich.
Yeah.
Now,
if
when
a taco breaks, it's a taco sandwich.
Right. But now when Subway used to cut the bread and they didn't actually make it through the bottom, was Subway...
It was not a sandwich.
It was not a sandwich.
Sub.
It was a sub. So is a hot dog a sub?
Could be.
Okay. Yeah. There's a great chart you can find online that is basically explains all of this, like lawful good, lawful evil, lawful neutral sandwich. What I have noticed, though, is that they are now selling Pop-Tart ice cream sandwiches, which, man, do I wish that those existed back before I realized what calories and saturated fat were, because that sounds delightful.
Is it ice cream between two Pop-Tarts?
Yes.
Sandwich.
Yeah, it sounds awesome, though. No, I'm aware it's a sandwich. It just sounds badass, and I really want one. All right, well, 0-0. This is
if you hold a chicken patty in your hand.
Yes.
Is that a sandwich?
Is this the KFC double down question where it was two chicken
No, because
patties?
you're not eating your hand. But
okay. So just it's breaded and the breading is all around the chicken.
Oh, that's a good question.
So I think it's more of an
no.
Fried chicken is an empanada then, right?
Fried chicken is an empanada, yes. I think that's pretty well established.
I think I'm always saying this. It's a hot pocket.
A fried chicken's a pierogi.
I love pierogies. More places should just have pierogies on the menu. I feel like that's a big miss that we get by not having enough Polish culture or in Eastern.
Pierogies are empanadas.
They are actually. The pierogies are like ravioli for Eastern Europe.
Ravioli, that's an empanada.
That is an empanada. Damn. All food is empanadas.
Yeah.
We need to get the empanadas box back on board with sponsoring us again. That was a great time. We got some free gift cards to give out. All right. Well, coughed on my excitement for empanadas right there. That'll do it for this week right here. FC Cincinnati returns to action on Thursday with the Leagues Cup. We'll be back on Thursday to do our Leagues Cup preview. The format has changed this year, so don't let anyone talk you into believing that we're about to have a Leagues Cup break. There will be a match on Thursday, a match on Sunday, and then a match next Thursday. But after that, we're back to regular MLS action after only about a week on August 10th with Charlotte. Stay tuned for a postcast announcement regarding that August 10th match, the 10th anniversary FC Cincinnati match. We got something fun that we're cooking up for the pregame for that I don't think you guys are going to want to miss. So stay tuned for that. And until then, since I'm hosting the show, Grayson, do you want to sign us off this evening? I think by your silence, that means you actually support Columbus. Do you disavow? Wow. Oh, he's already stopped his recording. All right, well then, fuck Columbus.
All of the music in this podcast was done by Jim Trace and the Makers, an amazing local Cincinnati band. You can find more information about them in the description of this episode. Also, be sure to check out The Post Cincy at thepostcincy.com. That's where we're posting our written content. You'll find a wide range of content there posted regularly. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast app, or better yet, share this episode with a friend, a family member, a fellow FC Cincinnati fan, somebody you think might enjoy this content. Please send it on over. to them. We would really, really appreciate that. And if you haven't done so already, we do have a Discord server. Feel free to drop in and join the conversation happening there. Again, links to that can be found on the website or in the description of this episode. Thank you so much for listening.